Hello friends, welcome to my channel. This is Charan. In this video I will show you in ASP.NET MVC how to create and display records using Web API. And here we got the final output. Notice the employee table is binded using Web API into this index view page. And this is a Web API service I call into this index view page using MVC. That's it. If you are a first time visitor to my channel, please subscribe to get the latest updates. For this video tutorial, I am creating a new MVC Web API application. Go to File, New, Project. From the web templates, I am selecting ASP.NET Web Application and the .NET Framework I am using 4.6.1. The application name is Display Records, so hyphen MVC Web API. Click OK. And from the templates, I'm selecting Web API. Click OK. And the project is created successfully. Let's close this default window. Open Solution Explorer. Now in this project, first I'm adding ADO.NET Entity Data Model. Right click the project name. Add ADO.NET Entity Data Model. Select that one. The model name I'm adding EMP model. Click OK. And from the model contents, I'm selecting the first option. Click Next. Let's create a new connection of SQL Server. I'm adding my SQL Server name. After adding SQL Server name, now I'm selecting the database. The new DB is a user database. I'm selecting that one. Click Text Connection. Is succeeded. OK. OK. And here we got our connection string, and the connection string name is entity name is a new DB entities, and I'm saving this connection string in the web.config file. Click Next. Let's choose a table from the selected database. I'm expanding the tables folder as well as DBO. The table, I'm selecting the employee table. Click Finish. And here the employee entity data model is added to our project. After that, let's open Solution Explorer. I'm minimizing the references folder. Here notice in the project the AMP model is added to our project. Now after that, now let's add a class in this models folder. Right click the models folder, add class. The class name I'm giving EMP class. The class name is add class. And here we got our class. Now in this EMP class, I'm just adding the properties. Public int. We have 4 columns in this employee table, so let's add 4 properties. EMP ID, get set, public string. The next one is the EMP name, get set, public string, email and salary. Let's add this one also. Email, get set, public int, salary, get set. After adding the properties to this EMP class, next let's open Solution Explorer. Now the next step is let's add the controller API in this controllers folder. Right click the controllers, add, select the controller. I'm selecting Web API 2 controller empty. Click add. The API controller name is EMP details. is the API controller name. Click add, which is a service name. Click add. And here we got our controller. Now in the next tab, let's add the namespace to import the model class using the model class in the project name. The project name is a display dot. Let's add the models folder. After that, in the API controller, now in this API controller, I am adding the method of IHTTP action result, public IHTTP action result get emp is a function name. Now in this function, I am adding first my connection string, which is a new DB entities. ND is my object, new DB entities. After that, I'm getting the properties from this emp class. For that, I'm using iList. In this list class, I'm adding the type of element is the emp class. So emp class, let's create the object. Emp object is equals to nd dot employees dot include. The include takes the string path. Let's add the table name, which is a employee dot select x. I'm adding the lambda expression new emp class. Now let's add the properties. First one is the emp id is equals to x dot emp id, say comma, emp name is equals to x dot emp name, comma, email is equals to x dot email, comma, salary is equals to x dot salary. Notice here we got an error, cannot implicitly convert type to int, question mark to int. So in the model class, the emp class, the salary data type, I'm adding question mark. Let's add again, salary is equals to x dot salary dot toList method emp class, the class name is a method. After that, this method return okay method. The OK method takes, I am adding emp object, semicolon. That's it. We have added the coding part to fetch the records from the employee table in the API controller. Now let's check the output, how this service looks. Google Chrome. Now let's call the API service. This is a host name. After that, I'm adding the forward slash API forward slash, and our API service name is emp details. Remember, this is API controller. Our controller name is emp details. API controller name is, let's add that controller name, enter. And here we got the output in the XML file format. Now let's call this service and bind into the index view page. So for that, we require the MVC controller. Switch back to the coding part, stop debugging. Open Solution Explorer. Now in the same controllers folder, I am adding MVC controller. Right click the controllers, add controller. The controller, I am selecting MVC file controller empty, add. The controller name is employee controller. And here we got the controller. Now in this controller, first thing I'm adding the namespace using display records webapi.models, so I can access the properties from the models class. Now in this action result index, I'm adding IEnumerable. Let's add the class name from this models folder, emp class. Let's create the object. Emp object is equals to null. After that, to call the service, I'm using HTTP client. So we need to add the namespace here using system.net.http namespace. Now I can access the HTTP client. Let's create the object is equals to HTTP client, new HTTP client. Sorry, it's an object. After that, etc dot base address is equal. In the base address, I'm adding the URI, new URI that takes a string, so I'm adding double quotes. The URI string is, let's add the up to API. I'm not adding the service EMP details. Let's add that one, semicolon. After adding the URI, now we'll add the controller, API controller name. So for that I'm declaring a variable, API EMP controller is an object is equals to hc dot get async method. The get async method takes a string parameter. Let's add the API controller name, which is EMP details. EMP details, this one, semicolon, API EMP controller dot wait method. After call this EMP details service, now we read the details. For that I'm declaring another variable, result display is equals to API EMP controller dot result. If result display dot is success status code, if the records are found from this service, I want to read those records. Variable read EMP table is an object is equals to result display dot content dot read as async list. I'm adding the EMP class name, read EMP table dot wait method. After read the data, I'm adding this EMP object is equals to read EMP table dot result. In the else part, if the records are not found, I want to display the error message. EMP object, this IEnumerable object is equals to enumerable dot empty. I'm adding the class name EMP class. Let's add the message model state dot add model error. This model error takes two parameters. One is a string key and exception. The string key is if string dot empty, then I want to display the message no records found. The last final step in the return view, I'm adding this IEnumerable object EMP object. That's it, we have done the coding part. Now to display the records, we require the view page. Now before adding the view page of this index method, We must build the application first. Build solution. And here we got a message build succeeded. Let's close this output message box. Now in this action result index, highlight that one, right click the mouse, add view. The view name is index only. The template, I'm selecting the list template. The model class, I'm selecting EMP class. And make sure the options, the reference script libraries and user layout page both are checked. Add. And here we got the index view page. Now in this index view page, I'm adding above the header tags center tag. Let's close this center tag after the table so we can display the records at the center of the browser. Now let's change the header. Instead of index, I'm adding how to call web API display records into a view page. Horizontal line. After that, and I'm deleting this create link action link which I don't require, and also I don't require this edit details and delete. That's it, we have done the complete coding part. Now before run this application, we must change the controller name. Open Solution Explorer, app underscore start, expand that one, route config.cs file, open that file, and notice here the controller is the home which is the default one. Let's delete that one. Our controller name is, I'm adding this controller MVC controller employee, not the web API controller. Employee controller MVC, add that one in the route config.cs file. And the action result page is the index view page only, which is this one. Now it's time to check the results. Google Chrome, and here we got the final output. Notice the employee table is binded using web API into this index view page. And this is a web API service I call into this index view page using MVC. That's it.